Welcome back to the Respect the Drive podcast. I'm Tedward, and today we have the second part, which wasn't supposed to be a two-parter, but I had a software failure, a memory card failure on the first recording of the podcast. We had Eddy and Corie back in to talk about Gridlife and racing his Honda Civic Type R, sponsored by Acuity. And although having a memory card failure on the first round was kind of a pain, I'm not complaining. I get to sit down with my friends again and have a conversation, so that's always good. We get into a lot of stuff on this one. We talk about racing, we talk about Gingerman, we talk about Midwest Fest and Gridlife and towing and all that good stuff, but we also talk a little about Cannonball. So there's something for everybody in this one, and I just like sitting down and having a filthy conversation with Eddy. You know, these ones are fun because he's like one of my best friends. So the things that come out of his mouth never cease to defy logic, and there might be some awkward pauses where me and Corie just say, I have no idea what just came out of your mouth. But anyway, we answer a few of your listener questions that I, thank God, screenshotted in the last one. But before we get started, I want to give a big shout out to Weil Motorsport. Weil Motorsport in Walpole, Massachusetts, a great BMW and Porsche shop. And they have really killed it on my M5. My E39 M5, 79,000 miles, pretty pristine car. But, you know, it needed an overhaul of sorts. We did a full cooling system. And they, so far, seems like they've solved my oil leak. Still got to drive it a little more to find out if that's true. But my confidence is starting to increase with the car. And I'm really thrilled because we replaced a million other things. We'll do a video on that soon because I recorded pretty much most of what they did on the car. I got a real education on the inner workings of the M5, and I got to really see what all the fuss is about underneath that oil pan, the upper oil pan, and all that good stuff. Certainly not a job for the faint of heart, I'll tell you that much. Let's get to the podcast. Here we go. Eddy and Corie back on the scene. Where we had left off was you guys were at, was it Mid-Ohio? Was that like the big track that you were racing?
Yep. Yes.
And we were talking about cooling the Type R.
I don't remember.
And all this other stuff. But here's the thing. What we can do, we can gloss over Mid-Ohio because you guys just got back from Midwest Fest at Gingerman.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
A return.
And that's way cooler.
Oh, it was so cool.
So, but first, like, let's just talk about your standings in Mid-Ohio because you did really well there.
I did exceptionally well considering I've never been to the track, like all these tracks. I was on used set of tires that they weren't new, they weren't stickers.
Yeah.
And I set a lap record for front wheel drive street class.
I mean, how
awesome.
It doesn't get much better than that, brother.
It doesn't.
Damn impressive.
It doesn't. I mean, I didn't come remotely close to podium in street class because my competitors are like 400, 500 horsepower all-wheel drive cars and Tesla Model 3 performances.
Jackie Ding.
Exactly. But nothing wrong with that, by the way.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
But for front-wheel drive car, I'm really happy with the results.
It's so funny because we talked about this before, but like it really does look like a minivan driving around
Type
that
R?
track.
Yeah,
Literally.
It's huge.
Type R is a minivan. Yeah,
It's crazy. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
It looks like they took a Honda Odyssey and then hit the minimize button like in Outlook, or not Outlook, Word.
Yeah.
And it just shrunk it like a third.
Yep.
Yeah,
And there you go, Honda
that's exactly
Odyssey.
what
great.
it is.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's great.
Um,
All right. So anyway, we'll gloss over that. You did good. You did good, kid.
I know.
You
Yeah,
did
I
good.
Great.
I did way better than I expected. And,
Every time you went out, you dropped at least a second.
yeah, I mean,
It was insane.
It was really fun, and the big thing that I'll, take away from this is Mid-Ohio is a fantastic racetrack, and if you ever get the chance to go, take that opportunity.
Gotta
because
drive it.
It's incredible. I've been to a lot of racetracks, and
Doesn't that feel nice to say?
I know.
Aren't you
I
like,
know.
oh yeah, I've driven that? You can talk
But
to
you know
people.
what though? Like it's kind of like you've been with a lot of women or men. I don't know if it's a good or bad thing. Kind of means you go around, but
You're
racetracks are different
disgusting.
because
You're a
you
You're
can move
disgusting.
around the country.
Your car
and
has picked up
a good
horrible
thing.
things from all these places.
Exactly, a
Ew.
lot of rubber slag,
Oh,
a
God.
lot of it.
Where'd that one come from? I don't know.
Exactly, but I get tested every time. Goes to Follies, comes back clean.
Euro. I can't even say the name of his shop right now. Eurotech Natick, right? Eurotech. It's
Eurotech Motorsports.
Okay, Eurotech. Because there's so many Euro things that things just like flow off the top of my tongue, and then I'm like, oh, I'm gonna say it wrong. And
Euro beat, Euro porn. I mean, there's so many
I
things.
know, but Natick, Mass, Eurotech. He's a G. He's got good stuff
Farley's
going on.
awesome.
He's the best.
I don't want to go on a tangent here, but he's kept that car together the entire season.
It's incredible.
And that car is it's not difficult in the sense of like it breaks a lot. It's more just it requires a lot of servicing when it comes to fluids because it needs its fluids changed basically after every event because it just cooks it all.
I believe it.
You want to be confident in the car when driving 14, 15-hour
Yeah.
drives to these racetracks.
And, he goes over everything nut and bolt, and he's been fantastic. And the car hadn't had any problems at all.
That's impressive. So for those Type R people out there, or the Type R haters, like, hey, suck it because it works and it's still running. And you're beating the bag out of the thing. And it's tuned now.
Yes, I tuned it.
Finally.
Tuned.
I finally bit the bullet when I realized that I need more power.
Yeah, all right. So let's talk about this tune real quick because, like, who did you go to? What's the deal?
Well,
and I'm not trying to plug people. I'm just trying to be like, there's Type R people out there. They want to know, like,
They
what's
want to know.
Yeah,
What's Eddy Segal using?
Yeah,
I'll have what he's having.
So first thing for everybody, it's not tuned. Just kidding. No.
you just piss
Stock.
off at everybody.
JK.
So it's just a Honda off-the-shelf tune. So I went on the internet. And
Oh,
I
you
looked
literally
up-
downloaded a zip file and unzipped it and shoved it in your car?
Well, so what I did was, first thing, I was on a very strict time, frame. I don't have time to go to dyno shops and be like, hey, can you tune my car and all this stuff. I basically had to just figure out whatever I had.
Do you even have Norton antivirus? I mean, what are you doing here?
No,
You're just
no.
downloading shit off the internet and shoving it in that car?
Well, you know
Yes.
what? It looked up
Unbelievable.
Hondata free, and I downloaded it, and what came out
You're
of that
so
was
fucking
not.
with
So
me.
I'm
full of
just,
it.
I'm just kidding. So
You better put a condom on that OBD2 scanner because Jesus, you are
That's
just
where you're going to catch something.
yikes.
So I went online, and there's two big companies, and I chose Hondata because I used to run that with my 8th gen, and it was fantastic.
I just thought of the disease that your car would get. It would be called Hondoria.
Honda
Okay, anyway, sorry. I didn't get it there
Ew.
fast enough.
a burning sensation.
Ew.
It's a terrible discharge out of the tailpipe.
Just a terrible burning sensation. Overheating happens.
That's
occurs.
nasty.
Oh my god.
Gross.
Yeah, so I went with Hondata because I had them before,
Yep.
and I know the software pretty well.
Right.
And then I just took their base tune.
Okay, so you literally go to the Honda website, you buy their bass
Yep.
tune, and then boop.
Yep. And you have to. I don't know about the later models, but these ones, you have to jailbreak the ECU, which you now can do remotely. You used to have to actually take the ECU and send it away.
Right.
Now you don't need to
Oh
do that.
no, your
So-
warranty.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, the warranty is long gone.
Long gone.
What warranty?
But
What did it add? What do you notice to the car?
power.
Yeah,
Power
yeah,
everywhere.
well, yeah.
the
I mean,
best
like-
thing is that it is actually performing how it should on really hot days.
So
Okay.
so the big thing is for me is with the stock tune, it's very conservative.
Sure.
So when it gets really hot outside, it's going to pull every single bit of timing it has, and you're basically flat on your face. What this Hondata tune is, it basically allows me to keep a stock performance engine when it's really hot. So
Okay.
in a sense, I'm just gaining what I lost when it's hot out. When it's cool out, the thing fucking moves.
So it's
I
like a
mean,
Coke head with a 230 BPM heart rate, and it's just like, keep going.
yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. Yeah.
Spot on.
I mean, but that
It's
car
like,
can handle it
it
too.
might
I mean,
explode.
it's-
yeah.
you're not adding a ton of boost. It's basically just getting it back to where it once was.
Okay. All right.
So
that's
all
fair.
it's
All
doing.
right. So power wise, torque wise, what are we looking at increases? Ballpark. Not a big deal.
Maybe 30 horsepower.
All right. So it's something.
Maybe 30, 40 horsepower.
It's enough to get you down the track,
Torque
but it's
maybe-
enough to keep it for longer.
Yeah.
All
It's
right.
it's more just keeping up with everybody else is basically what I
All
had
right.
to do. I mean, I was 10 miles an hour slower than everybody
Cool.
before.
All right, so let's talk about the fun parts about these things because you went to Midwest Fest, which is like that's like
Yes.
the big show.
That's
That
the big
is-
one. That
yep.
one and the Alpine one, which unfortunately I couldn't make because I'm not driving through Colorado.
Fair. And if you Google, for the viewers or listeners, if you were to Google Gridlife, it would come up and say it's a music festival.
Yeah.
That's what it
Yes.
says. It doesn't say like, oh, it's a time attack race series. It says it's a music festival.
Music festival, yeah.
And this is the event where that kind of becomes true because you go to Gingerman and it's just like basically Burning Man for car people.
That's exactly, or it's Forza Horizon in real life.
Yeah.
You show up and it's just one giant party.
Can you name any of the artists that were there?
Oh.
Big Boy.
Oh, all
Big
right, that's pretty
Boy.
legit.
Big
That
Boy
was
was
really
there.
cool.
'Cause I was gonna say, like, this is one of those things where, like, if there were like 5 stages and I walked up to any of the stages, I don't think I'd know who anybody was anymore.
Usually they get one big name headliner, and the headliner was Big Boy from Outkast, and it was really cool because they were playing all these old Outkast
That's
songs.
legit.
Yeah.
And he was,
And his new stuff was really good.
yeah, he was really good. I mean, we were both surprised. We
He
thought
did
it was
a really good job.
That's crazy.
we
well,
thought
I
it
mean,
was gonna
he's a
be-
professional.
I hope
Oh,
he did
yeah,
a good
but-
job.
Yeah, tell that to everybody else who shows up and like they never go on stage for whatever. They can't find
and
the right pod.
the DJ.
Oh, and there was a few DJs that.
No, but the actual turntables.
Oh yeah, I don't know his name, but
No, but he actually was turning tables.
Oh, he was like a legit
DJ,
like a
yeah.
real, not like one of these like I tattooed my neck. I'm 17 and that makes me cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
pressing buttons on a
And-
keypad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, this
laptop,
guy was actually
like-
spinning the yeah
That's cool. That's legit.
spinning the
It was.
turntables.
I like it.
Um,
Aaron would appreciate that. That's a
he
terrible
would.
reference for the podcast. Aaron's just like, this is a local friend who like maybe 19 people who listen to this know. But anyway, and everyone's like, Aaron. Who the hell is Aaron?
So yeah, no, Aaron Carter. So we get there, and first thing,
Aaron's party.
This is the biggest event, and so we wanted to get our entire team Acuity. There's a few of us.
Yeah, you guys. So if anyone's coming into this having not listened to part one, I mean, you don't really need to. But you guys drive an SRT Durango with a trailer.
Yep.
The compliments of Ren Scott out to Michigan, or is it
Yep.
Ohio?
Yep.
Michigan?
Michigan.
Okay.
Michigan.
And that's the rig.
It's
Yep.
yeah. I mean, it's basically Gingerman is the Tsukuba of the Midwest.
Right. So it's you, Corie, and Powen went with you.
Powen,
Yep.
Powen is he works for Acuity, but he's also just a good friend.
Yeah,
So-
Powen's an old friend. I met Powen through the Ignition Tube days. Back
yeah.
before those were famous YouTubers in my eyes back then. And it
What are you
was
trying to say?
I mean, it's just a different landscape. I know all these people now. It's
Yeah.
incredible. Where like you went from like all these people that you'd see on the internet and be like, oh my, like subscriber counts didn't really mean much to me back then. It was just that like, oh my God, there's 800 people who watch these videos.
Yeah.
Or like, those are early days. I mean, he was.
I remember those days because both of them had a niche market for each of them. I think.
Well, this was before Powen was even doing his own YouTube stuff.
Eli had the Audi stuff, and that was big.
It
Back
wasn't.
then,
No, not Audi. Is GTI stuff, man.
that's what I meant. The
Yeah,
GTI.
This
This is how old
Get it
it
This
right.
is like
back.
old stuff, and it was just like they were the TJ and Calvin of Boston because they were like just ripping around, working on cars. Powen was fearless. You give him a fucking chainsaw, you'd fix something, and he'd be good to go. Like, oh,
Didn't
do
know
the
what he was
exhaust.
doing, but he
You
tried.
do it.
and it worked out because he's pretty ballsy with the stuff that he does.
He's
and
crafty.
He's very crafty,
and he's just a good friend, and he's wicked smart, and he can look at something, and if there's something wrong or he thinks something wrong, he'll give you an explanation why because of his engineering background.
yeah,
So he's great to have along.
right.
That being said, hold on 1 second. I gotta put this.
Oh, I thought you were just gonna like
1 second. I just gotta
rip a big fart.
just fucking rip a fat fart.
I just need to grab this microphone and move it for a second.
Sorry, 1 second. I don't want the microphone to pass out.
I hope everyone knows like what we are drinking right now currently
Seltzer.
is Corey's drinking.
Capri Sun, Pacific Cooler flavored.
We had our little cousins
OG.
over to the pool over the summer. We've had these just sitting around. I drank
I will
one.
happily drink them.
It's not as disgusting as I thought it would be. It's
No.
pretty good. It's
Well,
not
I
very
that
think
refreshing.
they stopped putting really bad chemicals
it's
in there.
all natural ingredients, okay?
Respect the Drive, brought to you by Capri Sun. And then we're drinking like Polar Seltzer and a Stevia ginger ale. So
I'm trying to be
I
healthy.
just want you to know this is sober. This is what sober discussion with
We're
the three
just
of us is
yeah.
like.
This is us in general. Like we're always acting stupid.
It's just the way we are. Oh my God. All
So
right.
yeah, Gridlife. Get there, and the biggest concern we had was it's such a big event. Trying to get spaces for everybody in one location, we thought was going to be next to impossible. Thank God for Pound because he basically
oh my God.
made friends
We
with.
dropped him off. We're like, Powen, go save us the spot.
So we dropped him
He's
off.
going in by himself.
He goes into the event by himself, no ticket or anything, and just starts making friends with all the workers who are assigning where to go.
People in orange vests.
Powen is a charming young man.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
he made
he-
great friends.
He made
Nobody,
great friends.
like, how could you ever say no to that boy?
right?
He has a smile in those eyes.
Yep.
And you're like, I'll do whatever you want,
And
Powen.
they did because
Oh,
we
you
got
need this-
like
you need
six
this-
spots.
We got like 6
We
spots.
were the assholes that were throwing everything, tires, saving spots, and everything.
Well,
And
so what would happen is we'd get 3, and then I'm sorry, Gridlife, but when they weren't looking and there was no one next to
We'd
us, we'd
roll a
take another
tire.
one.
or we put it on the line and be like, "Oh, is that this spot or that
And-
spot? Guess it's that one."
Well, and then
push
they would
it.
come back and they're like, "Oh, you still need these spots?" We're like, "Oh yeah, we need
we
this
have,
the
we have
whole time."
important people coming.
And luckily, everybody, Grant, Evan,
Dustin.
Jim,
So you guys had the whole
we
Acuity
had the
team
whole
together.
Acuity
Yep.
team. And
Acuity
then
exposed.
Matt,
Acuity
thank God
Plus.
Matt was
Oh
there.
my God, we had a chef.
We had a chef.
Oh, I saw some Instagrams and he was like, and you
Yeah.
were like just standing over him, like, fuck yeah, give me that.
He was awesome. I can't thank him enough.
We don't
I mean,
eat that well at these events. We've
Yeah.
tried to bring proper food, and it doesn't last the 15-hour drive.
Yeah.
Plus, we get there, and then we're at the track all day, and then we go to the Airbnb. So, no, until we get like a stupid Yeti or something, nothing is gonna last. Everything we've brought has gone bad.
Well, also, we don't
Yeah.
want to cook. That's another thing. We're not
Yeah.
gonna cook when we get to these
like
things.
my dad, if you looked around at this dirty ass basement long enough, you'd start to find some Coleman equipment. You'd be like, oh, there's a stove.
Coleman.
Like we don't use this shit. Like, and the thing is, he always had this like, I don't know why I'm going off in this tangent, but for the sake of like, I just assumed everyone's parents had like loads of camping equipment. Like I can go anywhere. Like if you really like dug around this house, you'd be like,
You're
holy
so
shit.
ready for the apocalypse.
We could just go camping in the winter in Vermont. Like we could just be like, oh, this is like a fucking Everest rated sleeping
It's good
bag.
to always be ready.
Yeah, except like I don't know how to use any of this shit. Like we have
That's what YouTube is for.
we have military tents that have blackout canopies that go over them, so that way you can have lights inside the tent but not be seen from the outside. So that way, like if you were like hiding from the enemy, you could black out but still read or do whatever you're doing in the tent.
Did this ever concern you, like why your father was purchasing ex-military grade tenting equipment
You
and
know-
probably other various things from the Army Navy store?
It's the first time I've thought about it, and I am a little concerned now. But that was a long time ago. I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, I guess that's a nice story to tell.
It's the kind of thing where whenever like a group of friends, or like I was in a fraternity and we'd do like these little outing things once in a
Yeah.
while, like, oh, we're gonna go on this hike and camping trip, and I'd be like, bring a sleeping bag. And most people bring like a Ninja Turtle sleeping bag. Like they have like most like adult men don't have like a nice sleeping bag just
What's
because
that?
it's like a weird thing
Yeah.
to own.
Yeah.
And I would show up with like some ridiculous thing that was like, oh, I don't know, man. It's like a little too warm out for me to use this sleeping bag because
Oh,
it's
yeah.
rated for like negative 400 degrees. It's like rated for like 0 Kelvin. It's rated
Yeah.
for like entropy to stop. It's
Yeah,
rated for
It's an
just
Everest rated tent.
the end of the universe. There's no more heat at all, and it just all settled out. Every atom is silent.
And only you would
quiet.
survive.
And
with
then there's
that
just me,
sleeping-
heart beating away in my little sleeping bag.
So,
Oh my God.
so you have Everest grade tents. You have Everest grade sleeping
Sleeping bag.
accommodations. Why haven't you climbed, I don't know, Blue Hills?
Oh, that's gross. I don't want to go outside. I want to be in a car.
Yeah, exactly.
Why
doesn't
would
do
you
that.
hike when you could drive?
Tom doesn't
Exactly.
do.
You ever driven up a hill? It's fucking awesome.
Oh, have you driven
Oh,
down a hill?
It's way
We've
better
driven
than,
up some hills before.
It's way better than walking.
Yeah, we've. Well, anyways, all right. Where were we?
I'm
Chef.
so
Gridlife.
sorry. So
chef.
you so you've
Somehow
got
the
everybody
chef
lined up.
Turned into military tents. I don't know how that happened. Typical Tom fashion. But anyways,
I'm not sorry.
yeah. So we had the whole gang there. I'm sure I'm forgetting a few names. I apologize.
Well, Evan.
Evan was
number
there.
2.
Evan
There's
McLaren.
2 Evans.
There's two Evans. There's McLaren and then there's Evan.
Evans come in pairs.
Yes. Yes.
Yep. And then a couple girlfriends.
Oh,
So
Yep.
that was fun.
Corie wasn't the only female there.
Yeah.
She,
Were they terrible? Were you like, ew?
No,
Just kidding.
I'm fucking with you.
surprisingly.
God, oh my God, Tom!
Tell us
how
about
dare you?
Tell us how shitty their girlfriends are.
God, let me tell you something. The
The
smells
worst.
I had to deal with this weekend, it was bad.
you're like, oh god, that's me.
I know.
Oops.
Corie always smells like fucking strawberries.
I love strawberries.
You're one of those smell people. Like you
100%.
definitely
All I've ever wanted in life. So thank you. That's my goal.
So yeah, so we get there, had a great time.
Well, the driving, I watched all the driving because I watched all of it on the Gridlife.
Yeah.
Which again, I'm going to say this again. When I'm watching this, it's a live YouTube thing, and it usually says something like, "Oh, 230 people watching." I'm like, why aren't there thousands of people watching this?
I
It's such a
know.
great production.
I know.
they must spend a ton of money to do that production because they have to have people on cameras, drone operators,
Someone
a
was
live
explaining
feed.
to me the drones. So they have to change batteries multiple times throughout one
Oh,
session.
100%. They only are up, like they can only really go at those speeds and
Yeah.
stuff for like maybe 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow, who knew? my God, I didn't know that.
So
That's
if they
new.
want to be up to
Is that sarcasm?
that was some bullshit, Edward.
Asshole.
What the fuck? No, I was being dead
This
serious.
is the thing. This is the problem. His character it's entered his real psyche. So now he's like, I can't tell if I'm being sarcastic. Can I, Tom? That's
I would be smiling if I was being sarcastic.
You're always smiling. You have this
smiling.
shit-eating grin. I just want to, I think I think the poster for this episode is going to be one of those little pictures of you as like a 9-year-old. Or
Oh my
like
God.
because you look like such a little asshole, but who could get away with stuff.
Yep.
That's still happening to this day.
Every time I see your face when you were young, I think like, oh, I would have been the kid going up to my mom being like, he just hit me with a stick. And then you'd look over and be like, Mrs. Coletta, I would never hit your son.
And then she would
I would
believe
just-
that
no,
about
I'd be like-
you.
And she'd be like, Tom, don't lie to me. And I'd be like,
Mrs. Coletta. Wow, is that a new dress? It's
you're
beautiful.
looking
I
so
love
nice
your
today.
hair.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then, and then you'd be like, don't you ever rat me out again.
Yeah, exactly. I'll get
Pulling
the
on your
log
hair.
next time.
I'm going to finish it.
So Gridlife. We keep going off on these.
It
Fucking...
doesn't matter. This is more fun. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the
Keep asking me questions.
No,
I
but the
like-
driving was cool because I'm watching this whole production. But the problem is, because it's such a big event, there were a lot of people. Normally, I was watching 3 run groups. This one, there were 4 run groups in the time attack. So you were in group 3.
Yeah.
And that was still a fairly quick run group because group
Yeah.
D, or whatever they want to call it, the 4th run group, was the slowest. Which means that you weren't in the last run group, you were in the intermediary one.
Yeah.
And then the other thing was that because there were so many cars, there were more, let's say, incidences where shit went wrong, people went off, there were black flags, there were red flags, there were a lot. And these sessions were tight. So,
Yeah.
I mean, although the event, I'm sure, was entertaining, I'm like, the driving was a little tight.
So I will say, the driving portion itself, I wouldn't say was a letdown, but it was definitely busy, like you said, and there were a lot of incidents that shouldn't have happened.
Yes, exactly.
And unfortunately, because it's such a tight schedule and they're on such a strict time frame, because a lot of these cars don't have headlights, so it's not like you can run them at dark. The driving would go for like 6 minutes, 7 minutes.
Yeah, I was
And-
noticing that. They're
and
normally supposed to be 10 or 12 minutes or 15.
I think 15 to 20.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
never
it's supposed
saw
to go
it.
15 to
20
20.
being like the out laps and in laps.
Yeah, I never saw 20 minutes.
You had to pull the Jackie Ding style where you had to just go out, do one warm up, get your lap, and that was that. Like
That was
it.
I would watch you put down a lap, and it would be like your first or second lap, and then I'd say, okay, cool, that's his fast
Yeah.
lap, and then I'd be waiting for you to improve upon it, but you just absolutely couldn't because it'd be like black flag, you'd all come into the pit, traffic, there'd be an
whatever.
accident, whatever.
Yeah, if there was one piece of, not even advice, but an idea, there needs to be more vetting for the time attack drivers. I think they need to do either some sort of licensing if you don't already have credentials like a background in time attack or high performance driving, because I feel like there were just people out there who didn't know what was going on.
I saw
Fully.
some sketchy passes. I
Yeah.
saw some. What was funny though, because then I also saw a lot of people giving point buys, very like who don't have to.
I always get point
And
buys,
I'm like,
regardless.
and every time I see a point buy in a Gridlife time attack, I'm like, oh, that was courteous. Good job.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know
It's
why
the
you
smart
wouldn't.
and safe way to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know why you wouldn't do it, because I'm letting them know, hey, still do your fast lap. I know you're there.
Well, it
Go
tells
buy me.
them where you're gonna be, right?
Exactly.
Like
That too,
I'm offline. Like you do what you do.
Yeah.
You go.
And I don't know why people don't do it as much. I mean, actually, most people do.
So do you think though, if you were to institute some sort of licensing system, does it start becoming the thing that you don't want it to be? And this is like that slippery slope of becoming like kind of the stodgy, old school styles.
No.
I mean, is there an
No,
intermediary? Is
I
there
don't
an in-between?
think so, because people are still going to want to do it. I think the only difference would be is it just, it would allow to become a better driver before you go out there on your own. I think there's just, I think it's just scary for a lot of people that go out there and they're white knuckled and they might make a mistake trying to get a really fast lap, and then there goes the whole session.
Fair
So,
enough. Fair enough.
And
I-
thankfully, Gingerman is a very forgiving track.
Yeah, you can really mess up and not much will happen.
Yeah.
There
Like,
still
I
were.
can't imagine if all of this was happening at another track where there are walls that you're slamming into versus just going off on hundreds of yards of just grass.
Yeah, I mean, it's there was a few pretty bad accidents that I saw, but for the most part, just spin outs or, unfortunately, engine explosions. Time attack cars run at, some of these unlimited cars are literally pushing them beyond the limits.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And there were some explosions of engines.
I loved watching the drifting, and there was a session where you went out where everyone was just straight up drifting, and then you were drifting. There's a picture of you at like full oppo lock, like you
Yes.
were
Yeah.
hanging ass.
Eddie was having a lot of fun with the drifting.
So I mean that was fun. I think to me, like yes, I'm watching you get out there and do the thing you need to do, but I'm also watching you go out and do things that you just wouldn't do at any other events. This couldn't
Yeah.
happen.
No,
Well,
here.
they had a grip, drift, lift, taxi session. And it was an hour where you could bring someone out. And they let drifters and the time attack drivers just go out together. But they separated it perfectly. I think the most laps you got all weekend was during that session.
Yeah.
Me and you could only pass start finish once. So basically a little less than 2 laps. And we would just do it, come back in, get back in line, get sent right back out.
That's so
we went
cool.
out 3 times, and there was a car caught on fire after our second one, and we still had time to go out and do more. And we only came in because we were just like, well, let's not kill the car doing the fun stuff,
Thank you, course workers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it was so much fun because we went out and we were behind drifters. And of course, Eddie saw the full opportunity. And instead of, giving them space, he would go right up to them and drift with them. And I hope there's footage somewhere
yeah,
because
there
you
was
were
some tandems
drifting
going on.
with the drifters.
I
It was
hope
the
Powan
coolest
got
thing.
some of that because I know he was doing some camera work out there. So maybe there's some stuff out there.
He came to the pit lane and took the camera off because he didn't think it would be anything. But I do have some GoPro footage that I was holding. So we just got that, and that's what we wanted to show you before we started. So we will see after.
Yeah, it was the event itself. Speed-wise, I did get a lot faster. I gained I think I was 3 seconds and change faster than I was the first time. But I was the fastest front-wheel drive street class car, which, if that means anything.
Means something to me, Eddie.
Yeah,
Means
that's
something to me.
important.
But that being said, I know there was way more time. Unfortunately, the track also just degraded really quickly because you got drift cars, you got things that are spitting oil, you've got race cars. I mean, the track was so greasy.
And Gingerman is notoriously, the pavement is like cheese grater.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
not good on tires.
No.
But it
Yeah.
can absorb a lot of oil and junk.
It needs a repave for sure.
Yeah.
But I think that's what gives it its charm. Is it's just situation. I mean, it's kind of like Bristol if you're into NASCAR. Same thing. Or was it Bristol? No, it was Atlanta. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But same thing. Just an old track that ruins tires, but that's what makes it interesting.
Last time we did this, I did put up like an Instagram thing where I said, "Do you have any questions for Eddie and Corie while this is going on?" Now I thank God screenshotted those Instagram things, and we did answer them. So now you get a second chance at your answers just in case.
I loved our first answers though. That was so sad.
They were good. All right. Here's the first question from I'm Thanasi, our friend Thanasi. If they had to choose a new chassis today, what would it be? So if you weren't going to have the FK8, where are you going?
Are we talking like time attack?
Time attack. And like you're not rich.
K-swap S2000.
Ooh,
I do
I
an
was just gonna say
S2000 with a
that.
K24 in it.
Yeah.
I see a ton of those out there, and it just looks
They're
like
killing
a
it.
blast.
And they look fun too. Like
Or
yeah.
Honda Fit.
it's Honda Fit.
Or Honda Fit. Yep.
Oh my God, when I see a fast Fit,
Oh my God.
Dude,
3
they were
wheels.
bump drafting.
dude.
And bump drafting.
Like I would unironically just track the hell out of a Fit.
Oh yeah.
That's one of those cars that would do really well at Palmer because of the light.
Oh my God.
That's one of those things like all
We
the
gotta get one.
like Palmer track records are held by like BRZs and Miatas, and I want to fuck it up with a Fit. That'd be dope.
Yes.
There's a friend of mine, Ron, who is making a K-swap Fit,
It's so oh my God.
K24 Fit.
Could be you.
It could be
Could be me.
you.
So yeah, that's what I would choose.
All right, let's see. The V Dream Chaser, which Benson, I don't know what that means. The
I asked
V
Eddie
sounds
about
gross.
that.
It sounds a
Yeah,
little
we've
gross.
been wondering about that for years.
Young Benson chasing that V. I
Is he
know.
talking about a Cadillac?
I don't know.
That was my first thought too, and that's
Oh,
the
you guys
worst
are.
part.
That's so much more wholesome than my thought.
No. My first thought was what you were thinking.
Okay, all right. Well, anyway, he has a
I
nice.
think
He has,
we all-
he has a nice question. All right. We just cut a bunch of the horrible things we said. So his question: What track would you like to see Gridlife add to the calendar for next year that you haven't been to yet?
That I haven't been to.
Yeah, because I
For
know you're.
Gridlife?
I know you were like Palmer.
Okay.
No,
that I
Thompson
haven't been-
is the more realistic.
Yeah,
But I've
Absolutely.
been there a
But Palmer,
bazillion
yeah.
times. That doesn't work.
Road Atlanta.
They've already been there.
You haven't. Oh wait.
What would you add? Would you go
Sebring.
west? Sebring. That'd be
Sebring
cool.
would be up there.
That's like a real big boy track.
I don't know if Gridlife. Well, technically they've done Coda, but only for their
They do
wheel to
it with-
wheel racing.
Yeah.
I would like to see Sebring on there. Laguna Seca would be cool.
Yeah.
There's a few tracks. I mean, but honestly, the ones that they have are really good.
I'd like to see a Stafford Motor Speedway.
Oh yeah. Who can
Is
go
that-
around the oval
is that like a
fastest?
dirt oval?
Not
It's
dirt,
it's
but
a,
pretty
Is it
much.
paved?
yeah, it's a concrete
Sort of.
paved
Yeah,
slab.
It's
terrifying.
in Connecticut.
Lovely. We have a lot of weird ass tracks around
It's
here.
a NASCAR one.
I think
Yeah.
Canaan would be kind of interesting.
Oh my
I mean, I've already been
No,
there.
everyone
but
would die.
Everyone.
That would be such a
It'd just be
clusterfuck.
one. Like everybody would be.
Can
on
you
the
imagine
track.
when it's just me, you, and like Drew? It's already like that's too many cars for
Yeah.
what we're doing.
It's a go kart track.
It's nuts.
um,
All right, I have another
Yeah.
question
Yeah,
from
let's-
plausible. Oh no, plausible. Oh my god,
Plausible
I can't do this.
deniability.
I hate screen names. I hate it when you have to be like, little donkey fucker 69 says, what's your favorite bubblegum flavor?
oh my god.
And you have to say it because
Yeah.
it's their fucking name.
Yep.
Why
Or
do we
Phil
do
Me
this?
Bum.
That's a hope. Phil McCracken asks, what keeps you going back to the track, i.e. personal satisfaction from overcoming challenges? See, you can't give him an answer with the question, but no, but all right, so before you answer this, I'll tell you, like, I like going on the track. It's fun, but like, I've already had a few people tell me like, oh, I'm going to Palmer October 3rd. You're going to be there? I'm like, nah, I'm good. Like, I'm set. I did what
Yeah.
I need to do this summer. Like, I feel like, hey, maybe I'm just poor and I don't want to break my M3, and that's great too. But at the same time, like, what does keep you going back?
Well, what keeps me going? Well, my answer would be different than most people because what keeps me going is I kind of have to. I have obligations to go to them. But even if I wasn't doing the Gridlife thing, I would totally be at the track because of the friends that I have there. The driving's one thing. I mean, I do like driving and setting personal records or whatever around the local tracks around here. But it's to be with my friends and to be with that community because whenever I'm with them, it's just so much fun. Because they're people you only see at the racetrack.
I know what you mean. It's like your camp friends.
Exactly. Your camp friends or your friends from college or whatever. And whenever I get to see them, it's like, you act so much differently than like when you and I see each other because I'm just like, what up, fucker? And with them, it's like, oh my God, I haven't seen you so long. And like, how's everything? So that's why I go.
I love it. All right, and then I'll just add this last one from Louise_1800802.
Original.
Do we really need all the numbers? I'm being mean at this point.
Maybe it's a social.
1,000.
It's a social security number.
Definitely.
It's anyway. How and when did you get into racing? How and when did you get
How
into
and
racing?
when did I get into racing? I was 19 was my first autocross. So I started off in autocross. And I just went to an event, had no idea what I was doing, and I fell in love with it.
Focus ST?
No, BMW.
The 135?
And
No,
Focus.
335.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, your mom's the
Mom's?
ones your
Yeah.
mom's driving now.
Yeah.
That poor
That
BMW.
poor car.
Yeah,
If
so
there's one car on earth you should not buy,
I wasn't the first person to autocross it either.
Really?
The previous owner did.
that car has lived a life.
Baller.
So that's how I got into it, and it was a good gateway drug, as they say, because it got me hooked onto everything. Before that, obviously, I didn't know what any of that, lifestyle was racing or anything. The only thing I knew was on the street, which I'm glad.
He's a kid. He's from the streets.
Yeah, exactly. I sound like
the
this
rough
just-
streets of Newton.
Yeah.
sound like this total just scumbag, but no, I love racing. I still love autocrossing. I miss it. I'd love to do an event if I had time, but it's just I have no time. So, but it's a different type of racing. And then when I could afford to go to the track, because like the difference between going to an autocross event and going to the track is significant. The difference being you have way more time in the car. Autocrossing, you maybe get 4 minutes or 5 minutes in the car total. On the track, it's an hour.
Yeah, absolutely.
So-
and this is the thing. It's like it's weird because people be like, "Oh, autocross is cheaper," and it's like, well, not per minute of driving.
Yeah,
You know, like you spend your whole day at an autocross for $30 to $50, and I don't know what it costs anymore. That's just what I
That's what it
remember.
was,
That's what
yeah.
it used to be. Versus like $300 or $400 at a track day plus insurance. I mean, it does
Yeah.
add up. It's not nothing.
It's
but
not cheap, and also the consumables. Whereas autocross, you can get a whole set of consumables through the whole season.
You
Some people-
can, except for the fact that like the launches, I feel like are so abusive to cars in autocross. Like I think of the driveline abuse that like an autocross car sees that a track car doesn't really see.
Yeah, bushings.
Like, oh, let's just clutch dump this GT3 versus like let's like pit out and you get
And
on
do
it.
a
then.
slow
It
out
also
lap.
it takes a whole other skill set that a lot of people don't have with autocross because
Being
it's
able
not,
to see.
I
cones.
can't read cones at all. I might as well be fucking blind.
You wanna
I've
go watch
DNF'd
something-
so many autocross runs, and they're just like, nope. Like if you look at my scoreboard, it's like, okay, there's a couple slow ones, there's a good one, and then it's just like, and he didn't make it.
Well, I was gonna say, if the listeners want to watch something funny, go pull up that old autocross video we did years ago.
Oh my god.
That's a hysterical video, and like if I'm like really sad, I'll watch that and be like, oh, life was great.
You know what I remember most about that? How gross the porta potty was.
Ew.
Yeah, it was so traumatic. This is what I like about tracks. They have facilities.
Oh yeah,
Instead
true.
of going to like an airfield, and you're like, I got here at 7. I haven't shit yet.
Oh,
Yeah,
That's
You know what I
you
mean?
go into the porta potty and there's just a pile.
Why do things start in the morning? I'm not a morning person because you know what? I want to wake up. I want to have my coffee. I want to take my first shit. I want to have a little food. And I'm going to take my second shit. Now I'm ready for the day. That's how I get ready for the day.
I think that's
Same.
how most people do.
It's a 2-shit system. And if I have to be somewhere
well,
before
shit.
those happen, well, shit. That's not
You're
great.
fucked.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, like you said, it's definitely not for everybody, especially if you have IBS. But, you can do things that you can't do on the track in autocross course. You can take corners way beyond the limits of mechanical grip. And that's partially how you get through these cones is you have to slide the car around. At the track, if you did that, you'd end up in a wall or flipped over.
Yeah. All right.
So
Well, all right. So how about this? You guys do a lot of driving, obviously, because you're ripping all the way out to the middle of the country, back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Do you ever see any crazy stuff? So I'm bringing this up to ask myself a question because I saw that Tesla Model 3 do this psycho
Yeah.
maneuver on
Oh my
93 North.
Saw that.
It was like the closest I've ever seen to a movie stunt in
Yeah,
real life. Like
that
I've
was
never
horrifying.
seen anything like this ever. And the best description someone wrote, surprise chicane, as the comment. I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty funny. It really was like a surprise chicane.
I would say, well, first thing, wasn't there kids in that car?
There were 3 kids.
That's
3 kids
disgusting.
like under like 10 years old. And the thing was the way if you watch the video of the LFA that I did, the most recent one, I'm driving so mind you, this is all happening in LFA. Like I'm driving a Lexus LFA home from an event.
You're sweating.
I'm already like, okay, cool. I didn't blow any tires. Like I went to East Boston, didn't remove the front lip on the entrance to this thing. All the things went well. Now I'm cruising home on 93. I just crossed the Zakum Bridge, and I'm about to get into the left lane because I'm going to pass this like Toyota or something. And I look in my mirror, and you can see this all in the video. I look up, and I see this Tesla approaching pretty hot, so I cancel my blinker, and I never even initiated the turn into the left lane. I'm pretty much just tracking straight, and I'm like, nope, not doing it.
Yeah.
Let the Tesla pass, look to my left, see these cherubic young eyes fawning over this Lexus LFA. And I'm like, wow, kids still like cars. That's cool. Like, bunch of nice kids, right? And then Dad decides he needs to go to the Encore Casino to pay for this Tesla and sends it as hard as he can, cuts back left just in time to not hit the barrier or launch this thing off of the bridge
into the water.
Now, had this been a 4Runner, I would have the most incredible still shot of a 4Runner like in the air 100 feet over the ground with the Encore Casino in the background. And that's what my shot would have been. And all the kids would have been dead. And so I'm dead silent because I'm like, I just saw I made eye contact with the kid in the back and I'm like, oh, he's never going to be the same again. I'm the last person to have made eye contact with him before his life was ruined.
Oh my God, you're right.
I would have been like, do it again. Just saying.
You're sick.
I am.
But I'm honestly blown away at Tesla because the car did it. I don't know any other car that could have done that. Like that
That's
was
true.
Do you know my theory on why it did it?
Why is that?
Because the batteries weigh so much.
Well, I agree, and it's a low
And
center of gravity.
it didn't lift up.
But I'm not worried about the car necessarily flipping. I was worried about like it managed to put power in the right places to not understeer dramatically or oversteer dramatically, because what he did was so egregious that I think it would have upset any car. Car.
I couldn't believe it because I'm watching this and I'm like, that's a fucking video game. You can't do that.
I've never seen a vehicle do that. I mean, it's on like all season tires, right? Like that's on like just like normal ass Pirellis.
Yeah, that
But
must not
that's-
have been his first time.
I hope it was.
I think he peed. I think he peed a little bit.
I wouldn't be surprised.
You have to pee if you do
I would
that.
pee.
That was crazy.
A little dribble.
Probably
Anyway,
cry
so
a
now
little.
that video is going to get stolen by every Instagram account in the world. It's already happening,
Oh God.
which is fine. It's good when things get visibility, but like the problem is if you don't want things stolen, you have to like throw your watermark over the center of the damn thing, and then it's like now it's no fun.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy. I'm like, just steal it. Just credit me, please.
Yeah.
So the craziest thing that I've seen, and actually this isn't somebody else, this is us, is we were driving to Mid-Ohio.
In a Tesla Model 3. I was driving up 93, and these
I
three
had-
kids that I found in the back of the car. I
had
see
3
this Lexus
children.
LFA, and I was like, watch this.
Watch this.
So we're driving. It's about 1 or 2 a.m. Benson's behind us in his S2000 following us.
Oh.
And we're taking
I'm
the
driving,
agricultural
right?
trailer. No, I'm driving. No, you're driving.
Yeah, I
You're
was
right.
gonna
You're
say,
driving.
I
Sorry.
was driving.
And Benson, we had a walkie-talkie. And Benson, so first thing, I need to prefix this because
He's just chasing V's.
he's just, he's chasing them bees.
Getting them V's.
So anyways, I can't even talk.
He's gonna fucking kill me.
Oh,
after
I
this.
know. I can just see his face.
I'm not gonna tell him.
He's gonna be so mad.
I'm just gonna see him at a Cars and
Yes.
Coffee and on Saturday, and he's gonna be like, "What the fuck, Tom?"
Oh my god.
Anyway, all right. So
So, the agricultural trailer, as I like to call it, because it really is a monster of a trailer to tow cars with, has some issues after the incident you were there, part of, with Powan's little BMW when David hit it into the a pole or something.
At the gas
At the
station?
gas
oh
station.
yeah, we did smash that thing pretty good.
So, all right, fast forward a
Thank
couple.
God it's David driving and it's David's trailer, and he just goes, huh. All right, gets back in, and we just fucking drove away. And the thing was, by the way, when we did smash that thing, there were people there, and we had been talking to them. They're like, "Oh, what are you doing?" We're like, "Oh, this BMW broke down." And then we go to leave, and he smashes into it, and they're like, "Well, see you later, assholes." Like, anyway, it's like the pylon at a gas station.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, fast forward a couple years, a couple thousand miles, Corie taking the wrong directions through Pennsylvania, windy Pennsylvania, mind you, with the roads all fucked. And the trailer started to
Why are we
fall
blaming
apart
her?
because that
This
road.
was before
No,
the
no.
way home.
No, this wasn't. That was that trip was.
Benson didn't come home with us.
No, I'm not talking about that.
Oh, the other one. Yes, you're right.
Sorry.
The other. Yeah.
So
Eddie was sleeping, and the GPS brought me in another route. And he
you know
was
the
like,
roads
"Why
you
didn't
took
you
the
notice?"
Lambo
Yeah,
recently?
76
We
west.
took that home.
Yeah.
And I woke up to what I thought was a roller coaster.
I
Yeah.
was having a good time.
She's going like 85 miles an hour through the mountains.
Downhill,
And
It
really
was like
twisty.
2 to 3 a.m. and no one was on the road, so it was great.
Send it. There's runaway truck ramps. Fuck it.
Yeah, I just kept an eye out for those.
So anyway, the trailer got literally shaken to pieces.
Yeah.
I get back and I have to tell David, I'm like, listen, David, we got to re-weld it. Because there's like pieces that literally welds had broken.
Is this on like the covers of the
The part where he hit.
right?
That
So
was
it's
where it
not. It's
was.
just the cover of the tires.
Yeah, no, it's just the cover of
But
the tires.
it's also the light. So as a driver, when you look back in your mirrors,
Oh.
there's 2 lights for you to see how wide it is.
Gotcha.
One of those lights.
So anyways, so now let's fast
So
forward
it's
back to
shaking
where we were.
violently?
No. So now we're going to fast
Okay.
forward. So David said to me, he's like, "Oh, I fixed it, no problem." Somebody did the most rinky-dink fix I've ever seen. It was like someone
weld.
took like a couple little pieces of like bar stock and just like bolted it
He
through.
soldered it back together.
And Powen looked at this. He goes, "That's gonna break." And I'm like, "How long do you think it'll last?" He's like, "It might make it to the end of this trip." I'm like, "Okay." So now let's fast forward to back where I was talking about. Benson gets on the radio and goes, I think there was a piece of the trailer that just flew up and almost hit me." And I knew exactly what he was talking about.
Yeah.
And I'm like, uh-oh. So we pull off to the highway, and sure enough, the piece that holds together the wheel fender liner
Sure.
and the light.
and the light just disappeared.
Gone.
Just
So you just
broke
have
off.
exposed wheels.
It went
Exposed
flying
wiring.
towards Benson in
Went
his S2000 on the way to
Ooh.
the racetrack.
So
Yikes.
luckily, no damage to him.
Well,
He
it's-
swerved.
Imagine if the timing was right that me and Dr. M3 rip him down through 76, and then we're like, oh my god, we hit this thing. What was it? And we like find the license plate, and it's that trailer.
Yeah, so I apologize to whoever was behind Benson.
Well, David, when we got back, he goes, "Well, where's the light?" We're like, "We didn't go back for it."
You can't. It was like you would have had
We're
to
like,
walk
"We're
like
not
3
going
miles.
back."
We were like, we're not going back for that.
That's really
Sorry.
funny.
So yeah, so
This is your sponsorship, bro.
I know.
You bought this fender and this light.
so yeah, for the rest of that trip, we had it zip tied and
Ratchet
strapped
to the trailer.
to the trailer.
The
'cause-
whole cover for the tires was just floppy, because that piece that fell off was kind of holding it steady.
Got it.
So now that's all we could see in our mirrors, it like bouncing, and that's a big piece of metal.
It
So we're like,
is.
that can't go flying
Did
off.
that so did you ever find that piece again? I mean, did you ever buy that piece? Did David get like a replacement piece or
No.
just
you can't get a replacement piece. It's like
Because
a
it's supposed to be
it's
one
supposed
piece.
to be one piece that's welded to
Oh.
the trailer.
Well, you heard it first. Trailer for sale at Renscott LLC in Woburn, Massachusetts. Sonar
Only
Drive.
missing one light.
It's only missing one light.
Yeah, it-
High quality.
and this all stemmed from that one day because that's where he hit it right there. Broke the weld.
So all in all, David's fault.
Yep, that's what I said. I'm like, this is your fault.
The insurance company has looked into this, and you're at fault.
So yeah,
That's very funny.
so that was the craziest thing that I've seen. Honestly, we drive so late. There's rarely anybody.
No, the worst part is for probably like throughout all of Ohio, there are deer on the side of the road.
That is true.
There's
Which
a
is
lot.
kind of horrifying because I'm like, they could just like jump into the road. And it's usually very foggy at that time. And I'm usually very tired. So I'm like trying to like focus on the deer and like the road. And I'm like, fuck. But we made it every time so far.
So another question I had for you is, what's the future of Tedward? I mean, where do you want to see yourself for 2022? I know it's crazy we're talking about 2022 because it feels like it's 2020 still, but you've done an incredible job the last year and change. Basically the pandemic, and I just can only see this getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I never really get to sit down and talk to you about what you want to do. Usually it's we come down here, you ask me about all the cool things that I'm doing, which is awesome. I love talking about myself because I'm that asshole that smiles. But sometimes it's nice to go the opposite way. So, like, what do you want to do? Like, what's your your goals?
I want to do more like event type things, not necessarily organized events, but I want to do like I love the idea of just getting in a car and going somewhere with it and filming that experience.
Like the old days.
The old days. And I think that that's where the real charm of the channel is going to lie. I'm gonna keep doing reviews, and I don't even like to call them reviews because like I don't know that they're reviews. I feel like I'm giving you an experience. I'm giving you a test ride in a way that like you just couldn't possibly experience anywhere else.
Yeah.
And I want to keep doing that with cars that bring people like joy, nostalgia, anger. Like I want to drive a Pontiac Aztek in the worst way.
Yes.
Right? Like I want to drive that, but I also want to go show you what it's like to rip in a tunnel in an LFA. And I can do that because I have the right people on my side to make things like that possible.
Let me help explain what I think it is that you're doing. So you're not reviewing cars at all. I mean, yes, you give your opinion about it.
But that's what a car review is. I mean, it really is. And sometimes the quality of the reviewers that some of us watch, it's pretty bad. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But I don't look at your videos as a review, because if it was a review, you would get out and you'd be like, oh my God, the options list on this car.
Yeah, the trunk has 16.1 cubic feet of storage space.
I think it would have been one thing if you were doing press cars. Then I would be like, okay, yeah, he's doing reviews.
Yeah.
But you're doing something that I think is a lost art in YouTube that I think didn't really get capitalized enough. And you're a historian to an extent. You're keeping people's memories alive of some of these vehicles that at some point they'll all be gone.
You and Sheldon from Lars Anderson Auto Museum, he literally just said the same thing to me.
Really?
Like 2 weeks ago. Basically the same thing.
And like I watch these videos, I'm like, this is the most unbelievable catalog of vehicles that at some point will all be gone, and the only way the only way we'll be able to remember what they were like are these incredible videos of you driving them. You get to hear it, you walk around it,
You get the full experience.
you get the experience. And a lot of people are living in the now, and that's great. But sometimes we also have to remember where we came from. And
new is only new for a minute, right? So it's like, okay, great. Like, oh, the new Civic came out. Like, I'll get a bunch of views on that. But like that video will be pretty much meaningless in like not that long. But if I drive like a 1991 Ford Escort, people go crazy because they're like, oh my God, like my mom had one, or my teacher had one, or I used to see these all the time, or whatever. And it's like, yeah. And this is how like you literally can't possibly remember how bad it was until you've driven it and you feel like you're topping it out at 62 miles per hour.
Yeah. I mean, I think, Doug DeMuro has this thing. It's a similar concept. He's creating a catalog of all these vehicles, but you're doing a more in-depth version of it. You're
giving people who like your dad who wanted a Durango or didn't know that he wanted a Durango SRT, but you gave him a full experience in feeling and seeing and hearing this vehicle without him having to go to the dealership.
Right. And I think my goal, like you said, like I really do want to have, like my catalog has some pretty heavy hitters in it now. Like, like we just sold, or I don't mean we, I mean, I was part of it, but like, I wish it was we. I wish I was getting some of that money. No, but Sirio over
at V-Dream.
V-Dream. Sirio just sold that DB4 Series 5, which I probably did 4 photo shoots, 2 or 3 videos. Like, I mean, I worked my ass off for that car. And it just sold today on Bring a Trailer for $830,000.
Oh my God.
Damn.
And I've probably done like 60 miles in that car. maybe not quite, but like I've driven that. I put some miles on that car and I got to thoroughly enjoy it. I got to like actually experience that car, do what I needed to do to get the thing sold. But like, because it costs that much now, it's like, I'm not seeing one of those again. I mean, there's only like 17 of those anyway. And then, to be able to even show off some more basic cars like a TR6 or some Porsche Speedsters, or just cars that like people really did have back in the day that like really did drive the nuts off of. Like I wish I had a Gullwing Mercedes, because there's like a bunch of people who use those. They like daily drove those. That was like a lawyer's car to like drive a Gullwing to work. Like you had a little bit of scratch, you can make that happen. Now they're $1 million and you can't really do that. But like there's a lot of people that kick themselves for having sold Gullwing for like $25,000.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And I wish I could get my hands on one of those.
Well,
maybe someday.
I think about it this way. I'm like, I can't wait to show my grandchildren the videos of that stupid Civic.
Yeah.
And be like, this is what I used to love. This was my passion.
It also helped me get to know you better before I knew you.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because we
I
used to
would
do the
watch
vlogs.
those, and I'm
Yeah.
like, so this is who Eddy is.
I mean, we don't have Kodak cameras anymore. We don't have photo albums. We all have it digitally, and I think you're just doing a different version of that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think you're right. Like, I really do feel like on certain days I'm going to drive a new Hyundai, right? But on most days I'm trying to find something that's historically important to me. And I think you're right though about the review thing. Maybe I don't review cars because all I'm trying to do is kind of suss out the joy and fun of it. Like I will talk negatively about things, but that's not the focus of the thing because I'm not really selling it to you.
Yeah.
No, you're not
No, it's
selling
realistic.
it. And also, a lot of the times, the negative things are important to the story of the car.
Yeah.
They're character drivers.
Yep.
Like when something's shitty in a car, especially like from a 1960s or 70s or 80s, it's like almost fun that
And
it's
that's what
that
people
shitty.
remember.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
like I think Aston Martins of the early 2000s and like, up to like 2012 or so, or 14 even, they have like these single clutch gearboxes and they're kind of dogs and they kind of suck. And if you were buying that new, if I were reviewing that car in 2011 or 10, I would be like shitting all over it. Today, I'm like, isn't this hysterical? This is
Yeah.
fun. You should buy this to feel what this is like. Can you believe they sold this in 2010? It's dope. It's so much fun. It's like entertaining because guess what? You're not buying it to be faster than your neighbor anymore. You're just buying it because it's a gorgeous car with a beautiful interior with like 30 cows worth of leather.
Exactly. And I think that's what you really have gotten good at. And I'm sure a lot of people, especially car enthusiasts, are going to be thanking you one day.
That's cool. That's like really cool.
Yeah.
I
it's
mean, we
really
already
cool.
reminisce on your old videos. Imagine like 3 years from now.
I hope it grows. I hope it keeps growing. The car YouTube world is a weird one because it's a small niche in the YouTube world. Like we're like the little babies. We have the smallest audiences. Like a big auto YouTuber has maybe 3 million subscribers. Where it's like if I were a gamer or a makeup tutorial artist or like just a cool blonde-haired surfer dude doing my vlogs. You
Yep.
know what I mean? Like those are like 15 to 20 million subscriber channels. Like that's what like big channels are to them. To the car world, Stradman's out there with three or so million. He's that's the top of the game here. And so we, I'm rapidly approaching this 200,000 mile. I'm used to old cars. 200,000 subscriber mark, and I'm like, okay, how do we keep moving faster up to basically the most amount of auto subscribers you can get, which is somewhere in that 3 to 4 million range. And I don't know. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing and hopefully it keeps working because
Yep.
I like doing what I'm doing. It is cool and it is fun. And I have gotten attention from people that I never thought would A, know my name, or B, have any respect for me. It's crazy that I get to drive cars into the Lars Anderson Auto Museum.
Well, when
that's
you
a big
respect
deal.
the drive, you get to do a lot more things.
It's fun. And I just want to keep playing with cars because at the end of the day, that's all I want to do. We drove back and forth across Pennsylvania in the Aventador SVJ with Dr. M3. And like, I didn't really film the rally because A, I can't really show the things we did. I mean, they weren't dangerous, but like they're high speeds, I mean, it's an Aventador at speed doing its thing. But B, I was like the first time I just had like fun in a car, like really had fun in a car in a while that I was
Yeah.
like, wow, I have a goal today. I got to get there.
Yeah.
When we went to New Hampshire a few weeks ago, that was the first time in years I had had fun getting to a place.
Yeah.
I mean, again, COVID.
When we took the Porsche and the McLaren,
Yeah.
we took a Boxster Spider or a 718 Spider and the McLaren 600 LT.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, this brings back so many great memories. And I would love to do more of those with you again because
Yeah.
we had such a good time.
That was awesome.
That was so much fun.
It was just a simple drive. It's not that far, but it's like, oh, we get out on the highway, we do a couple pulls, we have some fun, and then we like, you're like, all right, there's cops everywhere, and you
Yeah.
just shut it down.
I think the ironic part is you were ahead of your time because if you made those videos that you did back then, now I think they would make a whole lot more sense.
I think so too.
So maybe this upcoming year, maybe we'll get some more of those.
We do a little bit of vlogging.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bring
the
that
funny
back.
thing is I always say like you can't be a vlogger and expect to get attention unless you happen to be just like obnoxiously beautiful and very, very entertaining.
Yeah.
But you have to
You're both of those.
you have to be someone for anyone to care about your life. And like, basically, if you want to transition from like adding value to society, here's how the new Apple iPhone works, or here's how this car works, right?
Yeah.
People latch onto that, and then they start to be like, well, who's that guy? Who is this person? So now you can show like, this is my morning routine, and like
Toilet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like nobody cares about anyone else's morning routine. They only care about someone that they already care about. So you have to be someone like, that's the double-edged sword. It's like this paradox. Like to be cared about doing a vlog, people already have to care about you.
Yeah.
And so if that's the case, and I can get enough people who are like, oh, I'd watch that, then you can make money because you can make longer content and they're more storyline and stuff. And then it's also something just entertaining for me to produce.
Do any of the old videos ever get any views still, or are they sort of dead?
Yeah,
Gone?
I only notice it because I see comments on them. Like,
still getting
Oh.
comments. on it.
yeah, especially your Civic.
Oh, God.
People just calling you out on the power numbers, which is fun. And I think at least twice a year I call you. and
Yeah,
say-
you asked me what was done to it, and now.
No, I ask you if you were lying to me.
Oh no! Yeah, exactly.
At least twice a year I give you a phone call. I'm like, hey, remember that Civic? And you're like, yeah. And I'm like, tell me the real number.
Yeah.
I
And
tell
you're
you.
like,
I
that's
know
the
you were
number.
lying.
And then you're like, I showed you the dyno. And I'm like, yeah, but I wasn't there.
Yeah.
And then
Did it really happen?
And then I'm like, because there's a lot of people who think you are full of shit.
Well, that's fine.
And I think it's funny, but I'm the one who has to deal
It's
with
a
it.
legend, and you know what? It'll always be a great story because no one will ever know because that car is long gone.
Yeah.
So
I mean, maybe 2022 is the year of the podcast, you know, and not that anything would ever slow down on YouTube, but I would like to be able to sell some advertising space on the podcast, because if the podcast can become lucrative, we do more of them. I mean, honestly, you can literally just watch where I'm going and what I'm doing based on how much money I'm making from it. Like, that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
Like, I need to support myself. So if you notice me doing like one podcast a month, it's because it's not earning anything, and
Yeah.
I need to like go pay my bills with videos.
Teddy needs health insurance.
Right, Teddy needs help. I'm literally not joking. There's a chart of like health insurance, like what I'm gonna buy next, because I just ran out of my. This is really too much information.
If you no seriously, if you need help, just call me.
No, it's
Because
good,
I
like-
do this as my job, so
You
Oh,
help with
yeah.
health
I do
insurance?
HR. It's all. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, so like now I'm on the Mass Health Connector.
Oh,
And,
have fun with
Oh,
that.
yeah.
and it's actually, no, it's easy. And I called them; they were really
Really?
nice. Oh my
Yeah.
god, this is incredible.
It's a lot
I've been
better
panicking about this for like a year. It's not
And
bad.
then it wasn't that bad.
It's not that bad. So I just have to go and look through all the options, and they're
Oh,
all
yeah.
cheaper than the Cobra that I was paying for the last 18
Well,
months.
yeah,
good.
yeah. I mean, that was sort of you just convenience, right?
Yeah.
But
But
that
yeah.
being said,
Totally don't mean to change the subject, but one I
Please.
just thought of, Cannonball. That's what we haven't talked about, because that
that
got cut off.
That got
off.
cut off. All right. So you two were both like heavily involved in Cannonball, and Corie became my like right-hand person in mission control, because I had started off, basically we did 3 runs with the Boston team. And the first run I was just supposed to be like a videographer. I was just supposed to be, you know, like documenting it.
Yeah.
And then I kind of turned into this like low key mission control. Like, here's how fast you need to go to make the record, right? So the second and third runs, they basically were like, all right, you are going to run a call center. Or they didn't say what I had to do.
There was no real
They just said,
plan.
On
It
the
was-
Zoom, you kind of presented it like, I'm gonna have a phone where I'm talking to one of the spotters, and then I'm also gonna be in contact with the drivers. And I'm like, what? He's gonna need multiple phones. I'm like, all right, well, I'll volunteer my phone if he needs. Like,
you said you were going to bring food.
yep, and
That was, yeah.
food.
And you got there, and I remember being like, Corie, can you, do you have a phone by chance?
Yeah.
And then you ended up being the spotter call center, basically,
Yeah.
to record all the things the spotters were seeing. And then we refined it for the third run. And essentially we had like a full blown call center with like 5 operators
Yeah, a whole dog.
in a dog and Turbo the Golden.
Yeah, it was a turning point because I remember you had texted me because I was at the time a spotter for the second run.
Spotter number 1.
Spotter
You were
number
spotter
one.
for the first run.
I was
Yep.
spotter for the first run and a spotter for the second run. And the second run, I texted Corie. I'm like, "Oh, how's everything going?" And you wrote to me, if I recall, was like, "Get back here. We need your help
Yes.
And food.
and food." So we drove back, and luckily I had my other friend Alex with me to help us out. And we just opened up that whole call center, and I felt like I was working for Comcast, helping people out at 100 and something miles an hour.
Yeah, because basically I was on the phone nonstop for the entire run with the
Yes.
car, and then you guys are calling the current spotter who's scouting what's directly ahead of the car, and someone's on hold with the next spotter, and then when I say deploy, go at this speed, which is still some black magic.
Yeah.
I just get a
that was
feeling.
You would
incredible.
literally just would get a feeling and be like,
You
7
get a
miles per
feeling
hour.
in the tip of what.
I'm like, I need 82 miles per hour.
82.5.
Yeah, I remember.
Not a mile faster.
Yeah, I remember being a spotter, and you're just like, can you sit at like 130?
No, that's when anything over 110, I usually am like, because everyone had like shitty rental cars for the most
Oh,
part,
yeah.
and I would just say VMAX. Can you
Except-
give me VMAX?
Yeah,
just put
exactly.
your foot to the floor and
Yeah.
don't
Eddie
slow
just had
down.
his own shitty car.
I have my own crappy
Everyone
car.
has the right of refusal, though.
We're very sorry, Ken.
We would
Ken Lynn
never
got pulled
force
over.
anyone. It was always, if you can.
Yes, if you can.
Corie was
legally.
very nice. So the third run we had 60 spotters. I think we had 60
Yeah.
spotters.
It
So-
was insane.
So the call center was just popping constantly, and I thought that I was gonna have time to sleep, and I didn't. I think I laid down for maybe like 40 minutes or something
Yeah.
like that at best, and I didn't sleep during it because I was still working out what the fuck are we gonna do at the junction with
yeah.
the whole
Oh,
hostage
God.
The
situation.
hostage.
But at the end of the day, what was a thing where, oh my god, I can't believe I get to be involved in this, became like we are the people.
Yeah,
and,
their
like-
lives are in our hands.
And not
Yeah.
only that, like you and me, Corie and I, there's probably no one else in the world who knows how to run or has. I mean, I'm sure there's people who could do it better. I'm sure there's people who could do it more organized or whatever. But like me and you genuinely ran the fucking show.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you stayed awake with me.
I know. I couldn't sleep. That was so much pressure.
And you were nice the whole time.
I know. She smiled.
like I mean, and it's funny because everyone else is like, not everyone, but like some people, you'd be like, I need to get this next spotter on the line, and someone's like, I'm tired. I'm like, you gotta fucking do it. Like we
I
gotta,
know.
we just gotta do it.
Exactly.
And
What
it
else are we
worked
gonna
out.
do?
But I mean, I don't know. I was glad because even though the Cannonball team is looked at as, Benvie, Durden, Sam, Safi, and Matt, my Cannonball team is that call center, right?
Yeah.
Like as much as I have like my allegiance and my friendships with all of the drivers. But when it comes down to what we experienced a very different environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw the highs of the highs, and we also saw the lows of the lows.
And we felt it.
and we felt, if not worse than the drivers, because we saw it all happen before it was going to actually, like, we could see what was going to happen.
We're looking at the numbers, and the
Yeah.
other problem too is that what we also have to suffer through is when like the fuel tables go out the door. Like, oh shit, this M5 gets horrible fuel economy, and so we have all this planning. I've got like all this paperwork of where we're going to get fuel, and it basically goes out the window in the first 300 miles.
Yeah, because we will not make it.
It's like, no, we have to change this completely. And
Yeah.
so then in addition to spotting, informing, getting feedback, figuring everything out, we're also monitoring their fuel and figuring out where they're going to stop on the fly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then have to alter the spotters at the same time, because if you get fuel at a certain spot, it means that the next spotter in line can't go because they're waiting for 5 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
Or-
we would be like, oh, pull over where it's safe. And then be like, well, it's not really a safe spot. We're like, all right, get off the highway and get on as soon as you can.
Yeah.
Or alternatively, the opposite would happen. They're going way faster than we thought, and they blew by 3 spotters. So the spotter closest, we'd be like, oh, can you drive another 300 miles?
Yeah.
It's insane.
And they would do it.
What's crazy is that on the books, I think it says we're the 3rd fastest car. At the end of the day, the people that are in my like little car community, we've all been so heavily involved in this sport, this weird goal that it was originally like, oh, we're going to help them out. Cause like, oh, Benvie, what a dude, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'll do anything for him.
Yeah.
He's got my back. And then at some point you're like, we're all so involved in this with each other. And sometimes I forget. I had somebody come up to me at the Boston Motorsports grand opening the other day. And he walked up to me and he's like, hey, it's good to see you. And I couldn't remember his name, but I'm like, you're a spotter.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
And
It
I'll-
was so funny when we saw them after, and I recognized everybody by like voice, but I'm like, oh,
Yes.
that's what you look like.
I saw Jamie.
Oh
and
my
I
God,
saw, like,
really?
These people that I'm like, oh, I know your voice.
Yeah.
Or like,
Or the
Pull
name.
over.
The
Yeah.
name. I know
First
the name.
and last name
Yep.
too. I know your phone number by heart.
I have the most willing participants in illegal street racing
my God,
in my contact list in my phone
Oh,
because they're
yeah.
all in my phone.
Yeah.
They're all there, and I have the funniest snapshots of all of their glimpses scattered across the entire country.
Yep.
It's amazing.
And the longest phone calls in America.
If I kept telling Bemby, I'm like, dude, if you die or disappear, and then like after this is over, I'm suspect number 1 because we have about 30 dropped and remade calls, and we were on the phone for 30 hours.
Yeah.
I'm going to jail
insane
if
to
you
think
disappear.
about.
The day
Oh my
after you
God.
disappear, I'm going to jail.
Yeah, exactly.
What could possibly be more suspicious than that?
I don't know what you're talking about. My phone, I had a drop call. Like,
I just left. I butt dialed him.
Butt dialed.
So I
Yeah.
butt dialed him 30 times and stayed on the line with him for.
I was
I
sitting
don't use
all
my
day.
phone often.
Yeah, it was an achievement that now looking back on it, I'm really proud of.
I am too. I said that I had a long conversation with Durden the other night at the Boston Motorsports thing, and I'm like, I looked at him. I said, we just started talking about it and like what we would do or what it was like, and just kind of like old war stories, and then I'm like, me and you have never talked about this together other than the podcast. We never really talked
Oh
about
my
it.
God.
And he was like, yeah, and it was just kind of sweet. Like it was one of those things where like I feel very connected with him, but we've never actually discussed it.
Yeah.
It's just something that I'll always remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird too because like at the end of the day, like it's not like I'm just friends with these people because of Cannibal. I often forget that we've done this together, and then when I'm like, wow, I have sat in a room with you guys for like days.
Yeah.
That's just like empty Dorito wrappers and 100
yeah.
Gatorade bottles
Oh
and
my
like all this
God.
shit, and you're like, wow, we problem solved these dudes across the country.
Yeah, we did things that really had never been done before in Cannonball that I can recall. I mean, I don't think anybody has run a call center.
No,
right?
not like that. Not like ours. There were call centers. Like I know Doug and Arnie had some little things, but they were not quite as elaborate.
I mean, did
weren't.
they have a full like tables and giant TV with
Not
black view on there?
not a live
The
view of the
command
car.
Or like
center.
Sam had a pencils and notepads.
Oh
set
my
out
god,
for
it
us.
looked like we went into a hotel conference
I
center.
know,
It was
it did.
incredible.
It was the best setup.
Yeah, I mean, it felt a lot like Watergate. We were doing something really shady.
We were
and-
stealing from the Democratic National
Yes,
Convention.
Exactly.
Wow.
We're stealing
That's
from the
intense.
United States of America.
It was great. No, we really were like we were on a mission. We got the job
Yeah.
done. We snuck in, we snuck out,
Yep.
and it
We
was
killed Bin Laden.
everybody lived.
Yeah.
That's really the moral of the story is nobody got hurt.
Yeah.
Not even the deer.
Oh, I
The-
know.
both cars
Thank God.
survived
Both cars survived.
and are living lives somewhere.
Somewhere.
Whoever owns both of those cars, God bless.
God bless.
Because that M5 had about 5,000 codes.
Yeah, I've never seen so many
I've
codes.
never
in-
seen. Do you remember he was for like I don't know how long, but he was trying to tell you all of the codes that popped up for like 10 minutes. Code B642.
So we're approaching this gas station, and Chris is like, "Hey, I've got a check engine light on." I'm like, "All right, well, make sure you just get fuel in it. It's running, right? It's not." He goes, "It's running." I'm like, "All right, get fuel in it first. Start fueling it up. Plug in the dongle, and then come back to it and start reading the codes to me." So he plugs in the dongle, and I've got a pen and a paper. I have all the paperwork. My mouse pad is actually all Cannonball notes. I'm not joking.
Oh my God.
And
That's
and
wicked.
so I'm like writing them down, and he's writing codes. And as he's writing codes, I'm like. So
I'm looking it
I'm
up.
like, you
Yeah.
need to look this up. I'm like, P045 or whatever, and you're looking it up, and I remember being like, what's that one? And you're looking at me and you go, oh God.
Yeah, no,
That's
it was
not
like
good.
it was like turbocharger exhaust gases above 700 degrees.
Because this is the thing, like BMW. This is what I talked to Chris Durden about the other day. I was like. He goes, BMW does not test these cars the way we abuse this car.
No.
Nobody
No.
does this. Like
No.
they put it like we did 26 hours of just open, wide abuse.
Let's
This
not,
is not.
it's not even just wide open abuse. Okay, that would be like, oh, I did a couple pulls, okay? This is sitting at limiter for hours.
Yes.
And
Hours.
and hours.
And like that's the thing. Those turbos are designed to give you boost and make you go, okay, but they are not designed to have pressure the whole time.
I
Yeah.
know.
At the
Or
fuck all.
over a day.
It's horrible. And I'm like, the fact that car survived
Just
Yeah.
just think about it this way. Put a car, ratchet strap it down to a dyno, and have it sit at 200 miles an hour for over a day.
Yeah, over a day.
And
Just
see what
That's
happens. See
cannonball.
what breaks.
see it.
Oh, but the dyno wouldn't even work because there's no potholes, there's no deer.
To be honest, it would have been easier on the dyno.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
as long
that's
as you've
true.
got enough air, as long as you could simulate the air, what you're not doing on the dyno is ramping it up and down and up and down and up and down
The
and up
brakes,
and down.
the heat. I mean, I'm blown away by the reliability of that engine. And if it can handle that, then I don't know what other engine could really withstand that. That's twin turboed.
I recently saw the Irv Gordon Volvo, the P1800 that did 3.2 million miles.
Yeah.
And it's like the highest mileage car in the world and all this stuff, right? Personally owned. And I think Volvo bought it from his estate after he died. And they wanted to buy the car at like 1 million miles. They wanted to buy the car at 2 million miles because it was like a testament to Volvo. They wanted to put it in their museum and be like, look what we've done, right?
Yeah.
This car, the RM5, I'm like blown away that BMW wasn't like, we need this.
I know, right?
We need to crack the engine because Toyota does that. When they get cars, when a car hits 1 million miles or a truck, they're like, we want to buy this and give you a new vehicle. And
Didn't you say like Alfa Romeo or something, like if we used one of their cars?
They were going to.
So originally, there was a talk of having a Giulia.
We were going to use a Giulia Quadrifoglio, and I nixed it immediately because I was like, there's not enough sidewall in these tires.
Oh, I thought it was because we thought that because it's the 6-cylinder, it would just be.
I didn't think it was going to
Sitting.
survive anyway. I think it was
Yeah.
too small. But to me, I was like, this wheel and tire setup is not going to last.
Yeah.
You can't do this. You can't do it. It's
Yeah.
not going to happen.
Yeah, I didn't think the Fiat part of anything was gonna last.
Well, that was the thing is I think we were like, well, if an Alpha breaks this record, Alpha's going to promote it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was our our thought was like, oh well, if we break it, Alpha is gonna do a world tour with
Absolutely.
this
Yeah.
But I was like, we're going to destroy all four wheels in the first stint.
Oh yeah.
thing. Yeah, through
There's
New
no way.
Jersey. Yeah,
100. I mean, think about that. It's like 180 miles an hour, 190 miles an hour. I don't know that the Giulia Quadrifoglio is really up for that task either.
for hours. No, I don't
It's
think
too
so.
stiff. It like the M5 is perfect because
Yeah.
it's big enough to be like, okay, it'll waft over the things. Yes, it has like big wheels, but it's got enough sidewall to handle it. And
Yeah.
they're
And it could handle the canyons.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's a lot. We could always go for hours about Cannonball, but anyway, I think we're good. I think we got
On
the thing.
Yeah.
We'll have to do a Cannonball podcast of the group. We have to get other people.
We should
from it.
we should get the call center, the mission
Yeah.
control together because no one's really heard our story.
I know.
Yeah.
Also, I want to hear what other people's perspectives were. And there you have it. Another hour or so wasted in your life. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope these are at least entertaining to hang on and listen to while you're working and probably barely paying attention. But that's fine. That's what it's there for. It's a podcast. It's supposed to get you through your day and make you feel like you're socializing with the people without the anxiety of having to actually do it. So anyway, thank you so much for listening, supporting the podcast on Patreon, and watching the videos. Man, I'm just so thrilled that this is my job. I love you. I'll see you soon. Don't forget to respect the drive. I'll see you in the next one.